Yeah. Can I ask you, Maggie, who did you use for your team that was open to you bringing in some of these complementary therapies, the metabolic approach? Can you talk about any of that?
I did not have any conventional support when I was diagnosed in Hong Kong or after I was NED and I moved to London. And even after we came here to Seattle, I tell my doctors now, they work for me. I let them know that, hey, I'm going to eat this way. I'm going to fast despite what they say. With my brain radiation necrosis, I knew that I wanted to pursue hyperbaric oxygen. I've read the studies, and my doctors were almost just angrily hostile about it. And yet, 6 months later, here I am, not the vegetable that they tell me I'm going to be. And I actually have it in my chart. That was probably hyperbaric oxygen that was helping. So Brad and I
Mm,
just discovered this thing that I know my body more than anyone else. The doctors are wonderful. I admire them for their training and the ability to prescribe the medications that I want. But ultimately, it's me who decides, and I have agency in my health.
Yeah.
mm.
Well, you did bring on a sort of important, I would say, team member at one point. When did you start working with Chuck Meekin?
Chuck
Meekin
Meekin.
Metabolics. We like to give him a shout out because he is helping cancer patients right now. Meekin Metabolics.
He's in the documentary. He still prescribes my off-label drugs, and he is probably the only true healer. He started out as a head of regular oncology on the East Coast, and now he runs his own metabolic oncology
Yeah.
department, and he's incredible.
But
And my
Yeah.
doctors now, they admit, my primary oncologist tells me that my way of treating myself is against his beliefs, but he also admits that I am one of the longest lived patients that he has with a diagnosis like mine. So
Mm.
eventually I'm going to show him through my health and my healing that this might be something that's worth telling others about.
Wow, that's profound. There is nothing, there is no light brighter than standing in your embodiment. Again, yeah, if we had applause, we would just add that into the podcast at this point. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have a question along the lines of this project that you're doing and the cancer revolution. And I know there could be probably do a 20-part series. You could just keep going because like we said, the beauty of science is it's always evolving, and it's usually the outliers that sends it forward 25 years. How are you managing the day-to-day stress and your interaction with the outside world? Like, what are your big techniques to downregulate? I know you mentioned meditation, but what does that look like?
I meditate every day, first thing in the morning. We do yoga at least once a week. I'm actually a yoga teacher now, but just for my personal practice. We have a sauna now. And for me, because of my brain condition, I can't have too much activity, especially interaction with people, which is challenging because I love talking. I love talking to people, but I've had to scale back on that, and it could be for the best there. And just always remembering that above all, my health is the most important thing because you have to put on your own oxygen mask before you can help others. So, really, cancer taught me how to prioritize myself.
It's fascinating to me to hear what works for other people and how simple it can be. More importantly, that it's in the formulaic equation. That there's something that is dedicated me time or self time or reflection or time to downregulate. Because I think we overestimate what we can do in a day. But here you guys are making this documentary platform, which is this is pretty. It's a huge milestone. It's like building the Empire State Building. You're in creation of this wonderful project which has sky's the limit. So
Well, it's
I'm
funny that you mentioned, like how research keeps evolving and that type of thing. And while we do have a very set 4 episode structure for this one, for a while it was 5, and we decided to simplify it. So we've now made it 4, also to help get it out faster. We had a storyline that I really wanted to get in there, and I was like, it's gonna go on the cutting room floor, unfortunately. But there's so much out there, like you say. We're basically like, hey, once these 4 episodes are out, that kind of actually frees us up to like dive into some other stuff. So whether we'll have
yeah.
a full season or what we'll do, we're not sure yet, but we're already sort of looking at and leaning towards continuing this in some way.
Season 2.
Yeah.
Season 2. I love it. I'm so inspired by some of the things that have worked for me, which again, very similar conversation, that they're like, no, you can't heal that. You can't fix that. That's not fixable. We don't have a fix for that. But here I am, and some of the things have been completely remediated or repatterned in my body, scar tissue that shouldn't be able to grow back, or you don't have lymph nodes, but it's the other tissue has taken up the role of those. It's so fun. And I know there's evolving research around pulsed red lights and pulsed electromagnetic field, and now the new science coming out around ice baths, looking at this conversion of white adipose tissue to brown fat, which is more mitochondrially dense. And they're seeing people. I've got 2 people in my circle now who just doing ice baths have had some remission. I mean,
Yeah.
and you're not, these are not solo. I mean, I have 2 in my circle, but you're hearing this more and more. And now there's some white papers coming out. So it's really exciting that we're looking at, and everything we could argue, or we could create a theory that everything that I'm talking about has stress reduction involved.
But that you bring up such an important point that there is no one way for everyone. And I know that's really frustrating for a lot of people who contact me, is what worked for me may not work for you, but you have to find your healing that is going to work for you. And for your audience, I think a great story is with my brain radiation necrosis. In my last scans in December, I talked to my neuro-oncologist, and he told us that if he showed my scans, my MRIs, to 10 different doctors, all
Mhm.
10 would say I'm a vegetable. And this was 1 week after I came back from a solo trip to Bali for my yoga teacher training. And they have no idea why my brain can look like the mush that it is, but I'm still living this wonderful life. And so I can't emphasize enough to people, don't let your scans, don't let your doctors tell you how you're supposed to feel. You feel the way your body tells you.
Yeah.
Yeah.